George, let me tell you, around the country, polls are closing. Did you do your civic duty?
I did my civic duty.
Well, you're on the East Coast. That's where the polls are closing. I'm hearing long lines. I'm seeing all those things. No, I'm not. I haven't looked at anything. But I did do my civic duty and I did vote. I'm just not going to look at anything until tomorrow morning. So maybe I'll wake up with a new president. Maybe I won't. But I know what I will wake up to tomorrow morning, and that's another show of the M&M podcast. You with me here, George?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It'd be funny if like the polls were on and you were just like kind of doing the same thing you did for that football game, just like looking up at them.
Oh, they called this. They called this state. No, I'm not gonna. Definitely not gonna do that.
Yeah.
YouTube will definitely boot me then.
Oh yeah.
All right. So welcome back to what will be now week 9 of the M&M show. Who knew we'd get this far? We only had the one blip with YouTube, so I'm feeling good about this.
Oh yeah.
George, crazy week last week. I'm gonna tell you, in our little fantasy game, you smoked me. We had 3 pick'ems that were different. You got all 3 of them right. And I'll tell you, like, if you look out there at the betting, like, there's a bloodbath. Green Bay going down. Nobody saw that coming. Like, people were just hammering Green Bay. That Baltimore-Pittsburgh game was good, and you picked it right. And, I mean, I was just off by this much. But we had a lot of good games this week, right?
A lot of good games. A lot of surprises. Bengals was one of them.
Bengals was one.
Able to beat the Titans.
You have to put, and I know you picked it, Denver beating the Chargers. You made that pick. You called it. You, at like midway through the fourth quarter, you had to be like, all right, well, that's a ball game. And then the Chargers still found a way to capitulate, which is amazing. Like, you know what the funny part is I kind of checked out on the afternoon games. And like at one point, like I looked and I caught a score and I was like, oh, Chargers are going to win. And didn't put much thought into it. And then looked back and I saw it was like 31-30, Denver won. I was like, wait, what? What happened?
What happened is Locke
came alive.
He did. It's exciting.
Is he going to be a guy that, like, he's not on fantasy radars this year, but like, can he get there?
I think eventually if he has the right assets around him.
You can't argue with what Denver's putting out there from a young tool perspective, right? Jerry Jeudy, they've got that Tim, whatever his name is, kid that nobody's ever heard of before. They got KJ Hamler who can play a little bit. So they've got guys who can play. I'm not a huge Melvin Gordon fan, but like whatever, like they can go get a running back in the draft at some point. Like they've got some pieces there. Clean up the line a little bit. They have a formidable defense. Like that team, if Locke can be a decent quarterback, doesn't even have to be great, right? Decent quarterback. Like they can win some ball games, right?
Oh yeah, I think they can compete at a high level moving forward.
Gotcha.
A lot of talent.
Well, as I already mentioned, you crushed me. You had Carson Wentz, who was a bit of a bust, only an 8-pointer out there, but you had James Conner, A.J. Brown, both putting up some double-digit scores. I had Tannehill, who I wouldn't call a bust at 17 points, but then Jonathan Taylor full busted out on me. Turns out maybe he was a little bit hurt. And then Thielen, who knew that Dalvin Cook would come back and just dominate that game. There's no doubting Dalvin Cook's talent as a running back. But I did not see, like, 200-plus yards from scrimmage, 4 tutters. Like, what a game from Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, there's the thing that makes him so dangerous is he could do it from the air and he could do it from running the ball. So when he's healthy, he's dangerous.
Yeah, well, top 2, 3, 4 back in the league, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Now I gotta ask a guy that you've got to be excited about. Maybe I'm stealing this from you for later. J.K. Dobbins, your little jitterbug. Like, man, he looked. I get it. Baltimore lost, but he looked good against a good run defense.
Yeah, Dobbins looked solid. It's just the Gus Edwards looked pretty good too, and it's just a matter of how long is Mark Ingram going to be hurt. The thing that makes me nervous about Dobbins is he hasn't been catching any balls, which is something I thought he would do.
Yeah, I thought so too. Come out of Ohio State, but you never know. Sometimes it takes players a little bit to get there. All right, well let's jump to it. Tell me some of the players that do excite you then for this week, right? Let's start at the quarterback. What quarterback has you pretty excited about this week that you think like this guy, look out for him, he's going to have a big one?
So my quarterback that I'm worried about and my quarterback that I am picking for this week, kind of doubling down, if you will,
So
is
you're gonna pick the quarterback that you're worried about as your fantasy starter here, your must
yes,
start.
because if anybody can get going against the Cowboys, a team like the Cowboys, somebody can get going there. I think Ben Roethlisberger is my pick for this week.
Taking Big Ben, but you're worried about him. What has you worried about him?
Because he's like the number 22. Granted, he already had his bye week. A lot of teams didn't yet, but he's number 2 quarterback in the league. He's a game manager. They are a very healthy 7-0 right now. So the team's been great. It's just he hasn't really been having to put the team on his back. He's
You
been
know,
game management all the way.
well, it's crazy too, and a lot of this is their defense just being ball hawkish and really being very good. But
Hmm.
they also like they're not. It's not like James Conner's out there having a year, right? He's not been bad, but he's not been out there putting up 200 yards and 3 tutters. It's not like
Hmm.
Jalen Samuel's doing it. It's not like any of their backups. Like Benny Snell has been okay too, but it's just one of those things where like they're just a well-rounded team. When they need to score 4 touchdowns from Chase Claypool, somehow they go out there and get that and win a game that maybe they didn't deserve to win over the Eagles, right? So it is a little odd how that team kind of finds a way to seemingly put it together when maybe they I won't say shouldn't be, but like aren't, right, haven't been. That's an interesting pick out of you there.
Hmm. Well,
Let,
it's hard to put on paper what their talent really is because it doesn't show up on the score sheet unless like you said, that there's somebody that gets like 3 touchdowns. But a lot of talent on that team. They just know how to get it done.
Yeah, they do seemingly know how to get it done. I'm going to take a guy that I'm going to stick in your realm. The guy I'm worried about, but I'm going to take basically as a matchup this week. I'm going to stay in your realm. You got a little smirk there. You know where I'm going with this? Maybe you do. I'm going to go with Cam Newton. I'm going to go with Cam Newton because that Jets defense, like Cam has been bad. I have dogged him on the show. However, that Jets defense is bad. They've thrown in the towel, given up, said, "Hey, we're going to lose pretty much here on out." Cool. Like if they're going to throw in the towel and give up, like that's great. Like let me see if I can take advantage of that. It's not been a great defense, right? And so I think there's a spot there where I can say, "Hey, I'm going to take Cam having a bit of a comeback." Now, his weapons have been injured. But when I say this, like Cam's just going to have a game. He's going to have an old school Cam game. He's going to do it on the ground. He's going to do it through the air. He's going to make some things happen. It's bold pick number one. I can pretty much guarantee you because I'm picking up. It will not be good luck for Cam. He's probably going to get hurt this week.
Sorry, Cam.
Sorry, Cam. My bad, buddy. That's okay. It helps because let's just go ahead and put your career to the end, maybe this weekend, because nobody's signing you next year. We already went over that in a previous show. If you're curious about it, go watch.
Mhm.
All right, who's that running back out there that who you feeling spicy about this week, George?
Oh, so this is going to be another. I feel this is bold because Minshew is on the. He's hurt. He's on
Not
the
playing
bench.
well.
So I heard some rumblings about how they're going to be looking to do something different and unique and innovative in Jacksonville. Because they have a really really hard schedule down the second half of the year. I'm going to go with James Robinson. Let's see what they can get done with him. He's got to put the team on his back.
Has to. And here's the thing. Now I didn't know Minshew was hurt, but that Houston defense is bad. They are bad. That Houston team is generally bad. But I'm a little foreshadowing. I'm going to take them to win that game, but I wouldn't be surprised. They could put all their players in the box and maybe still not stop James Robinson. Now on the other side of the ball, there, I don't see Jacksonville stopping Houston either. So this could be a game one of two things could happen is neither team could play well at all, and it ends up being a boring, low-scoring, crappy game, or it ends up being a horribly defended, high-scoring, like just put the ball wherever you can, get it to wherever you can. We're going to score. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that one. I also see that Minnesota Detroit game kind of going that route too, because neither of those teams can really defend that well. That being said, like Minnesota found a way to defend last week. They were down twice to Green Bay, and found a way to win that game. That shocked me. Couldn't believe it. I thought once they got down, like that was it. So, and maybe it has to do with just being able to run the ball, right? Because if Dalvin Cook's that unstoppable, I don't see Detroit doing a lot to stop him. Then that'll maybe be the way it goes. And I'll tell you that, like, I also look back, and one of the guys, and I'll do a little foreshadowing, one of the guys that has me worried is Jonathan Taylor. He's a little nicked up. He didn't run as well as Wilkins did last week, the kid from Ole Miss, who I think is a third-year pro this year. But the reality is like you look at what they were trying to do with Taylor and what they were trying to do with Wilkins, it was different, right? Taylor, they kept trying to get him to the edge where Detroit was beating him out there, right? Every time they ran Taylor to the edge, he also got stopped, right? Until late in the game when Detroit was just gassed. Every time they ran up the middle, run Taylor up the middle, son. Get him up the gut. Let him move the tackle. Let him pull the tackle and just let's do a dive play or not a dive, but like let's get up the gut a little bit. Let's run off tackle here. Let's run off guard. Let Quentin Nelson move some people. What are you doing? Stop misusing my boy out of Wisconsin. Get him some points. Get him some touches. Mercy. Anyway, but it's got me worried because I hope he doesn't get. I hope that's not a long-term injury, and if it's just a little bit of busted up ankle, it shouldn't be. All right, my running back. I'm gonna take this week. Man, and this one's a little bit tough for me, but I don't like a lot of them. But I think where I'm gonna go is I'm gonna go with James Conner. And maybe this is just a little obvious, but like that Dallas defense can't stop anybody. And James Conner hasn't had you haven't had a game this year where you're like, whoa, look at James Conner just being a baller. And I think that's a guy that like, well, man, if you can't run against the Dallas defense, I don't know if you can run against anybody.
Yeah, I almost wanted to double stack Ben Roethlisberger and James Conner, but then I realized I picked James Conner last week when the matchup wasn't as good. So you got me there. I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, I think with Conner there, I think that's just again, if you can't run against Dallas, who you running against? My only concern is that he might get hurt and it might be Benny. So, all right, who's your wide receiver this week that's giving you the tingles?
I'm going to go with A-Rob, so Allen Robinson. I was watching the Chicago game, and he's just such a maestro out there. Like the catches he makes and how much he gets open, it's just like he is.
And it doesn't matter who's throwing the ball to him.
Yes.
Mitch Trubisky, who can't throw the ball accurately, A-Rob's going out there and getting it.
And I was
Nick
watching
Foles,
the game.
He'll go get it.
I was watching a game with a Bears fan who desperately wants them to bench Nick Foles. So I don't think it matters which quarterback it is. I think Allen Robinson's going to get it done. So I'm going to give him a shout out for this week, and I'm going to pick him.
I don't know who the Bears fan is out there that you were watching this game with. Here's what I'm going to tell you about it, though. They both suck. Trubisky sucks. Foles sucks. It doesn't matter who your quarterback is. That defense, while good, isn't good enough to be that what was it, 06? Well, the 05, 06 Bears, who were basically like 13-3 getting to the playoffs and then losing the Super Bowl to the Colts. It's not going to happen. It's different teams. Not going to happen. The 06 Bears, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Denny Green still somewhere in his grave saying they are who we thought they were. Their defense is not that good. And you have to be that good to overcome. Like, I'll put it this way. Rex Grossman is not as good as Nick Foles. Okay? And your defense isn't as good as that they had for Rex Grossman. So, like, put that into perspective. Miracle that they're at, 5-3. Miracle. Not even, I was talking to someone today. Was it you? Might have been you. Might have been somebody else. Like, they may not be as good as Detroit. Put that out there. So things to think about, right? They may not be as good, and it's not looking so bad. And maybe I'm a little early on this. I remember I made a bold prediction: Minnesota's going to make the playoffs. Minnesota's looking good all of a sudden, right? That defense looks like they turned a corner. Dalvin Cook's coming back healthy. Kirk Cousins win a game without throwing 14 interceptions. So let's go there. Justin Jefferson's looking good. Thielen's still a good guy. They have two very serviceable tight ends. That defense can just be okay. They'll win games.
Yeah, it's very pick your poison when it comes to stopping Cook, stopping the receivers, stopping one of the receivers. It's they're looking pretty good.
Absolutely. All right, so you took, and I went off on a tangent there, so I apologize, but you took Allen Robinson. I think, man, I'm tempted to go back-to-backers with Adam Thielen here because I'll tell you what, T.Y. Hilton got hurt in the second half of last week's game, and like Phillip Rivers was still finding open Colts receivers. And granted, it was a lot of running back out of the backfield, and like realistically, I would take Dalvin Cook's gonna have a monster game, but that's just too obvious. So I'm thinking like maybe it would be valuable to take a. I think there was a stat he completed 15 passes at one point in the game to 10 different receivers. It doesn't matter who the receiver is against Detroit; they can't defend. They can't defend the throw. They really don't do that good a job defending the run. So there's a spot there where I'm wondering if maybe Thielen or Jefferson is a good pick. I just don't know that I can do it. All right, here's going to be where I'm going to give you a bold. I'm not going to go bold pick. Here's where we're going to go. We were talking earlier. Will Fuller was maybe going to get traded to Green Bay. He didn't get traded. I'm going to say Will Fuller against Jacksonville having a big game.
There you go.
And I think that's a good spot, right? Not so obvious, and that'll be a good spot for him. I like Will Fuller. I have him in a keeper league, and I'd be more than happy for Mr. Will Fuller V to have a monster game. George, we've talked about who's got us excited, and we're going to get to some waiver pickups here in a second. Who's giving you the heaves, right? Who are you saying, like, I don't know that I can start this guy?
So it sounds like we have the same person at running back, but I have Jonathan Taylor. I'm a little greedy or selfish or what have you. Everybody that I usually list for love it or hate it, people that are in my leagues that are either disappointing me or making me really happy. I have Jonathan Taylor in most of my leagues. He looks like he's hurt, but then I also heard something about like the coach didn't know that he was hurt, but they were playing Wilkins over him. So little concerned about that, little concerned about him, what he looks like being the main back moving forward in Indy.
I mean, I'll tell you this. They won't – Wilkins is on the third year of his rookie deal, so that means at max he's got one more year left in that deal. And they're not going to sign him to a long-term contract. They drafted Taylor in the second round, so like long-term I'm not worried about it. He's a rookie. He's had some games where he's broken some tackles and he's got some yards. The Jets game actually is one that, like, if it hadn't been such a massive blowout, he'd have gotten 100 yards in that game and put up a big game. They could pull. They pulled everybody, right? There's, hey, let's not put any wear and tear on guys' bodies here. So there's spots there that like you can look at it and say, okay, this is maybe not a huge concern. But I don't know. I still look at it and I think, man, like this is. He does have me a little bit concerned. I'm going to give you another guy that I'm a little bit concerned about instead, though, at the running back position. And it's not so much concern long-term, but in the short term, and I'm just going to give you a team, it's the Green. We touched on this a little off-air before the show started, the Green Bay running back situation. We don't know if Jones is going to be healthy. Dillon is officially out for the game. They just put – now he could come back off, but they just put Williams on the COVID list. So that leaves, okay, Tyler Ervin, and I think his name's Dexter Williams, something like that. One of these guys is on the practice squad. Like, we're talking about two guys that now against, by the way, the like one of the toughest run defenses in the NFL, the perpetually injured San Francisco 49ers. Now, that being said, it's entirely possible that the other guy that I was looking at for a wide receiver was uh, Devontae Adams because, well, Aaron Rodgers just loves him. But the reality is like maybe Green Bay just throws it all over the yard. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But right, that situation just has to give you a little bit of concern this week and maybe even next week, right? As we keep moving forward, like it was a calf, and Jones was like, "No, I'll play this week," and he didn't play this week, and then he didn't play the next week, and then like now we're looking at possibly another short week, Thursday night game that he's going to set out. Like this is how long is Aaron Jones really going to be out? Like this is becoming a problem for his fantasy owners, namely me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean we're getting up there in the weeks. Like we're getting down
Then
to
3 weeks, like come on, dude, like
yeah,
shit or get off the pot. Let's figure it out here.
right.
All right, who's the quarterback that's giving you the worries?
Ben Roethlisberger,
Big
um,
Ben, you did
because
say it.
because of reasons why we kind of discussed before. He is getting it done. His team looks great. It's just he's not really producing at a level that you would have expected somebody. Like if he is my QB1 moving forward, which he is in a couple of leagues,
Could be a
not
problem.
feeling too great about it.
Yeah. No, I feel you there. I think with the guy that I'm going to go with, he was a top 2 or 3 QB in a lot of leagues through 3, 4, 5 weeks, and man, he's even had some nice matchups where like a matchup against the Jets that went horrible. But Josh Allen has given me, he's my top guy in the league. It's given me big concerns. And if that's a guy you have moving forward, you're like, man, like if you can't hit the juicy matchups, like what are we doing out here? He's got a great matchup this week. Seattle's going to definitely put up points against that Buffalo defense, right? Now the one thing, it isn't Buffalo, so like that weather there could completely play havoc as it did last week.
Mm-hmm.
But like if he can't put up points, right, against an awful Seattle secondary and team, like a defensive team, what are we doing out here? Because I'll tell you what, Russell's going to put up points against his team, so he needs to figure it out. And they need to win this game because it turns out Miami, it doesn't matter if it's Fitzmagic or Tua. Like Miami's going to find a way to win ball games that we didn't expect them to win. By the way, the Rams look awful. Like what happened? Like how do you go from looking that good? And I get it. It was a Bears deep or offense that couldn't do anything. Like you looked great against the Bears and you just went out and laid an egg.
That was a weird
Excuse
game
me.
in general. A weird stat of the week was Cooper Kupp had over 21 targets, which was I think 6 or 7 more than the second most in the league.
Which is funny because Woods had a monster game that day.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 catching.
Yeah, and a monster day. I know that because he was started against me. So thank
Yeah.
you, Robert Woods. Yeah, so that's a QB who's got me worried. Who's that wide receiver out there that's been a big name that's, man, it's got you just a little concerned?
Really frustrated about the investment that I made in Jarvis Landry. I don't think he's going to pull through. He is the highest targeted person on the team, yet he continually only catches about half his balls for about 10 yards apiece. I just think that he's on the cutting room floor for me in some leagues.
Wow. That's big. That's very big. I'll give you a guy that has got me a little bit concerned, and you've touched on him earlier, but I'll hammer it home. JJ Smith-Schuster. Like some of this goes back to Big Ben, but like either he's not being used right or like the hype is gone. Like he's not who we thought he was. And so I think there's maybe it's both. I don't know. But he seems to just not be able to figure it out over there.
I just don't think he has any hubris. So like I was watching the Pittsburgh game and he really threw himself out there to try and get like a touchdown. Juju, like he really he knew he was going to get popped and he let himself get popped to get a few more yards. I just think that he's the team's cheerleader, and he's not necessarily like an ego, so he doesn't really care as much how many
Hmm.
pass. I don't know if he cares how many passes he catches, so long as the team is 7-0.
Interesting. Interesting. It's actually very interesting. All right, George. Is there anybody left on that waiver wire? You said he's on the cutting room floor. Who are you going to go get?
And that's a great segue. For wide receiver, I think Sterling Shepard is a good fit.
Yeah, if
If
he's
he's not
available for
picked up,
sure.
he has had since he's come back, he's had 3 consecutive weeks with over 6 targets, or over 6 catches, I believe. I think it's 6 catches. He's a really great, solid wide receiver 2 or 3. If you need help. And then just kind of as a kind of a wild card to kind of throw it out there, I'm still liking how Mike Williams looks for the Chargers. He had a big game last week. The problem is he's very inconsistent.
Yeah,
Uh,
boomer
he'll
bust for sure.
he'll be boom or bust, but I'm feeling good about him this week. So I think if he's out there because he was hurt or because he just didn't do well the week before, go on and get him.
I got you there. So I'll tell you this. One of the guys that I think is gettable, and I don't know how many leagues he's gettable in, is Corey Davis, though. Corey Davis is still available in some leagues, and I think that's a guy you can go get. And I went and looked at his numbers, and he's consistent. He's never going to go out there. Well, I shouldn't say never. He had a really big week last week. But generally speaking, no, he's not going to go out there and put up a 30-point game. But like he's consistently just getting points. So there's spots there where you can really, really get some value there.
Mm-hmm.
And then another guy that a lot of people have like went ahead and cut bait on, and they should have. But it looks like Jordan Reed has been activated from IR.
Mm-hmm.
Kittle's out. Kittle's done for the rest of the year. Earliest he's coming back is week 16 or 17. Not relevant for fantasy anymore. Kittle's done. So go get Jordan Reed.
Oh yeah.
Go get
Yep.
Jordan Reed, right? Nobody had him on an IR list. And we know that I mean he had the one game, right? That he had a monster game, the one game he started, well, two until he got hurt. But if Jordan Reed can magically find a way to stay healthy, that guy will have a nice rest of the year. I think regardless of the quarterback throwing the ball to him.
Yeah, I had Jordan Reed as my tight end as well. He had a couple of touchdowns the first game that he took over for Kittle. I think the thing that slowed him down is he did get hurt in the second or third week he was covering for him, and then
Yeah.
shortly thereafter Kittle came back. But Kittle's not coming back at this point, so he'll be a great pickup.
Yep, that's a nice guy to go out and get. And then like kind of a sneaky guy, and I'm not super high on him, but I think Valdez Scantling, like at some point that guy's got deep talent, and I just figure at some point somebody besides Devontae Adams is going to have to be able to catch the ball. But you've got to have room to stash him if you're going to go get him.
Yeah, and Alan Lazard is coming back either this week or next, so just be on the
Yeah,
lookout for that as well.
yeah, all of it is when Alan. Yeah, all of that is on when Alan Lazard's going to come back. The other thing is I also saw that again, if you're just looking for a streaming candidate, um, Gaskin is out this week, and so Miles Gaskin of the Dolphins is out this week with a sprained MCL, probably going to be out 3-4 weeks. So with him being out, I don't know who's going to pick up the slack there in Miami. If it's going to be Howard, if it's going to be Breda, it'll be one of the two. But maybe lay a low level bet on a Miami running back this week. You might find value there.
Sounds good to me.
George, give me your biggest surprise from last week.
It's got to be, I would say, the Dolphins beating the Rams. When you also factor in the fact that the Dolphins starting quarterback only had 93 total yards, that's a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Can't. Yeah. I'm gonna give you my big surprise. We talked about it earlier. Shocker for me. Minnesota finding a way to beat Green Bay. Didn't think it would happen. Thought you could hammer Green Bay all day long there. But it just, they laid an egg. What can you say? So that's that for our fantasy roundup. here and for week 8. Make sure you stick with us and join us for the pick'em pool. I promise we will do better than we did last week. We'll see you back around the break.